and that would have ruined it. We would not even be here.
Yeah.
This tells a little bit about who owned it prior to the Socials.
Eldorado started with the elders and the Reeds, and
This was where it all happened as far as the family get together.
This week on the Archives, we're joining David Bartok and his crew on the restoration of this 1917 home. We will watch as they restored floors, moved walls, and brought back the charm of what we call the Muckley house. Stay tuned to see this turn to this. To start, let's go back in time. Built in 1917 by William David Upchurch, WD was cashier for 50 years at Burnett Bank before his retirement in 1943. His wife, Ellen Elder Upchurch, was a descendant of the Elder family who founded Eldorado. Son John David was mayor of Eldorado from 1947 to 1955 and was state representative in 1932 and in 1933. Daughter Dorothy married Dr. James York Welburn, but unfortunately died at the age of 31 from colitis. William David died at home in 1946. The house was then sold to Glen and Irene Muckley. The Muckleys, originally from Magnolia, Ohio, purchased the local Ben Franklin store from Butler Brother in 1948. Success followed and eventually expanded locations to Harrisburg, Marion, and Herrin, Illinois. In later years, they also owned Eldorado Antique Mall. Glen and Irene had 3 children, Carolyn, Jack, and Cynthia. The house was full of laughter and fun. Leisure time was spent on the side porch and in the pool of the backyard. Every 4th of July, the family surrounded the flag in the front yard to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Glen passed away in 1996 at the age of 83, and Irene in 2021 at the age of 102. In 1984, the house was sold to St. Mary's Catholic Church, which was used as a rectory. In December of 2021, the church offered the house to David Bartok.
Welcome. My name is David Bartok. This is a Muckley house. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about this house. This is the 3rd house that we restored here in Eldorado and using them as Airbnbs. We've been very fortunate to find good homes that had really good bones, and each of them in their own unique way, very nice. This one is really a bit of a local landmark for the community. Built 1917 as a federal style house. Was very well built for its day with the technology that they had then. That's why it's still standing today. Beautiful house.
Awesome. So we'll kind of walk you around and I'll ask you some questions and kind of pick your brain a little bit about these houses.
Okay.
So which room? Do you want to start with the living room?
Let's start with the living room.
All right.
We were fortunate. This room had some work done prior to us purchasing the house. It had been re-drywalled. Now the whole house had carpeting, and we ended up taking all of the carpeting out of the house. The ground floor, the original floors were in really bad shape, and they were too bad to try to restore. We were fortunate that we could save the stairway and all of the floors upstairs, but these we just decided to put real hardwood back on, so it's probably similar to what the house looked like when it was first built.
Awesome. I know it looks completely different than the previous that it looked like. So if you notice, we'll go into the next room here, but each room kind of has their own name now. So we'll kind of explain that a little bit. So the first room we'll go on to is Sam's room.
Yes, this is Sam's room. Originally, this room was built as a porch. It was a very nice porch, had wooden columns. It was later enclosed when the property was owned by the Catholic Church. It was turned into an office. After that, when we bought it, we reusing this as a bedroom. It's the only bedroom on the ground floor, but the double beds work very well in Airbnbs. Now Sam's room, why do we call it Sam's room? Well, Sam, you've already met Sam. Sam's my partner. Sam's with me all the time. When we started on the house, it was cold. It was in December, and the house had all steam, had the old steam boiler, and it had been out for quite a while. So the only room in the house that had heat was this room because it had electric baseboards. Sam, being a hunting dog, you would think that he could take all kinds of adverse weather. He doesn't. So as soon as we would get here, if it was cold and you looked for the dog, he was in this room. Ergo, it's Sam's room. And there's Sam right there. That's my buddy.
The next room I'll walk into is the dining room. I know this room took a lot, so what was your first thing that you had to do, I guess, to kind of make this back to usable and safe?
Well, the first thing I did was stick my head in the sand and thinking it's going to get better on its own. And that didn't happen at all. No, actually, there's kind of a long story here. This dining room looks much like it did previously. It's a large dining room. There's a table for 10 and plenty of room. What wasn't here originally are these beams, and we have some pictures that you'll get to see that actually these beams are covering up a superstructure of steel that we actually had to raise the ceiling up in this room, and I'll explain to you later why we had to do that. So in these columns here are actually shoring jacks that go from actually under the house all the way up, and we have adjustments up there where we could lift the second floor up. Now the bare steel was pretty ugly, but we got in, it worked fantastically. We got it all welded together, and then my ace carpenter Cody covered all these, and with wood we painted them, trimmed them out, and it looks very, very nice, but it is functional. So actually under these shoring jacks underneath the house are more shoring jacks that is lifting the house too. A lot of the old homes, most of the old homes were sitting on piers. So it's different today where everything is block foundations. They were sitting on piers. And when I was a kid, every town had a business where a guy would drive around with a truck and it said house jacking on the side. So at least every year, every 2 years, you would have the guy come, he would bring his level, he would have jacks, and he'd have shims, and he would constantly be leveling your house, because just sitting on piers on dirt, freezing and thawing and shifting of the ground and just movement, they become unlevel. So they would shore up the floors to make the floors more solid. And if you didn't, that's what actually has been the demise of most of the old homes, is they have failed to keep a solid foundation. Right. So it actually turned out very, very well. It was much better than what I thought. I was preparing for a complete disaster, and it actually worked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it actually adds to not so plain. This kind of breaks up the monotony of high ceilings. So.
Yeah, little character to the room.
Yeah.
This room was a nightmare. It had actually been remodeled a few years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. They spent a lot of time, and we had to rip everything out. When we looked downstairs at the dining room where we put up the steel structure. The reason we put up a steel structure is that at the advent of indoor plumbing, sometime, it wasn't in 1917, probably in the 20s, maybe early 30s, this room was used for a restroom. So to get drain lines in for the commode, they just cut through floor joist. And I know they were thinking that nobody would ever know. Well, we did, because things started settling and they just got worse and worse. So we had to just basically gut this room, and it was really ugly when we started. But after we gutted this room, then that allowed us to lift the floor from the dining room. And once again, Cody and Kevin, my right-hand guys, they done an amazing job in here. It is, it's miraculous when you saw it before they started. So.
All right.
We have what we call the sleeping porch. We're pretty sure that the maid, this was probably her room if she lived here, when she lived here, this was probably her room. When you look at the history of these older homes, they call them sleeping porches. Some people call them sunrooms, but the reason they call them sleeping porches, and you look in the information, it said when it's too darn hot to sleep anyplace else, so they would open all the windows. Now at one time, where we just have 3 small windows and 1 large window, there were 4 large windows, so this whole thing would open up. And I'm sure it was screened in at the time, and then that's how you kept the mosquitoes from getting in the house. This was a beautiful house, and it needed to be saved. A lot of these homes are abandoned for just a few years, and a lot of times a few years is all it takes to get a house where a beautiful house like this, it's easy to restore into a condition that it's almost a lost cause. In this house, and it's not that expensive, it really isn't, even with the high cost of materials that we were going through, it didn't take that much material. It took paint, a little bit of lumber. We tried to repurpose everything that we took out of the house, everything that we could. Chris was very instrumental in that, and he will show you how all of the hardware on the doors, which was amazing. I would have never thought that it would have turned out that well, but it did. But the old houses need to be saved. We don't need to be throwing these things away. They're in everyone's community, and what it takes more than anything else is work. But that's all it is. It's just work. It's not hard work. It's just work. But at the end of the day, you get to see this, and you get to share it with everyone. That is probably the greatest joy that I get from all of these, is everyone enjoying something that could have just been an empty lot leveled off with weeds growing on it. So try it.
This is the girls' room.
This is your room. Yeah, because I would put my bed there.
Oh wow.
Get the head out this way.
Okay.
Sometimes I had it there, but this looks nice. And
Yeah.
I was married in 1959, and that's when Cynthia moved here
Gotcha.
to this bed. To this bed.
Now, was it 59 or about then when your mom had the Jack and Jill bathrooms done?
Yeah,
Yes,
probably.
it probably was even that Caroline got married in August,
And
so
they started.
Threw your stuff out
Yeah,
the window.
yeah.
my grandmother moved in, she moved here, and she stayed with us 6 months out of the year, so she and
Mom's mother.
my mom's mother, yeah, and she moved into that bedroom, and she and I shared the bath.
You know, each of the rooms got their names in. It was kind of organic. It's like we didn't, like we'd be looking for something. The girls have been stripping wallpaper in here, and Chris and I were doing something. I said, "Hey, Chris, where is that whatever tool or whatever?" He said, "Well, you go up the stairs and it's in the pony room because we had wallpaper that had ponies on it. So that's how I got his
And
name.
I remember that in Jack's bedroom.
That was
that
probably
wallpaper.
because of
Yeah,
Jack.
but see, we
Yes.
saved the wallpaper from each
Oh,
room.
look,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I did.
And actually, we saved that in there too.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you
Yeah.
go.
So we saved
Yeah,
pieces.
that was on there when, I don't remember
I think
when.
that I picked.
That was what was yours?
I think I
Yes.
picked that, yeah. She said, whatever, you pick whatever you want. So I did.
Yeah. So. And it's interesting that it was yellow because
It was all yellow.
Mom's favorite color was blue.
It was yellow carpet, yellow
It was.
walls. It was very
Was
bright.
all yellow.
Huh.
So interesting that she did it yellow, but she did.
I loved her wedding picture. She was so pretty.
Yes. Gosh, I didn't know it was in here, but that is beautiful.
Yeah.
That is so pretty.
Okay.
So,
Well, we moved to Eldorado in '48. Didn't get this house till '49.
really?
Long. As soon as she found out this house was
Gonna
empty,
Yeah.
gonna be for sale.
So this was her dream home, kind of.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
The
So y'all would march out single file and then surround the
Yes.
flag.
Yeah, surround the
He'd
flag.
say salute, pledge, say the pledge, and then we had to sing God Bless America.
Yeah.
And the little kids would always, he would get them to
Yeah.
like that.
That's unique.
See, he was a Navy veteran from World War II. So
Okay.
he, that was important. you
Right.
know,
Yeah,
very important.
patriotism.
Yes, it was very important to him.
Well, we actually just put this up this morning. So
you
we knew
did.
you guys were coming and we knew that was a thing, so we wanted to get this up.
Oh,
So
Well,
right before you guys pulled up, we were putting up the tools. How's that?
well, I saw you over here because she said, what, I don't know, she texted me earlier and I said, well, they're still working on the house.
do they know we're coming?
Uh-huh.
And I
porch area upstairs, maybe that.
What about you? What do you like?
Well, they've done a fabulous job. It just brings back lots of great memories.
Yeah.
But I love the dining room.
Well, I really like the living room. I guess that's where I have the most memories.
Yeah.
It was blanketed in this plush baby blue carpet.
Right. What about you?
I just like the staircase when you come in.
The staircase, yeah.
Come in,
Right as soon as you walk in, it's the
right
first
as you
piece.
come in and-
What was your guys' favorite part of the house?
The old wallpaper in the
Yes,
closet.
that-
That was so impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just so
You
can
like
get-
that idea?
And then
love that.
seeing
and
the
then the pictures.
and then
yeah.
seeing the new wallpaper.
Yeah.
The new wallpaper is
Beautiful.
unreal.
Okay. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I hope you learned a lot about the Muckley house today. Make sure that you get out in your small town and see if you can find an old home to renovate. You can actually rent this house. So I'll leave a link in the description below. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you keep waiting because we got more to come. So we'll see you next time.
You gotta check this out. What do you think?
Oh,